Hey there everyone, it's Jenna. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have a home decor haul for you all, and I have slowly acquired some new pieces over the last couple of weeks, so I thought it'd be fun to share what I found and then also show you how I style everything in my space so you all can kind of get some fun styling tips and inspiration as well. And everything that I can link will be linked below. Some of these pieces are one-of-a-kind finds, but I'll do my best to try to find some similar items, so everything will be linked through affiliate links down below. And yeah, I'm excited to show you all what I found. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first piece that I found is very large, so I'm probably just gonna show it and put it down and then insert footage, but it is this really pretty, super large olive branch. And I found this actually at the West Elm outlets in Asheville, and they still sell it on their site and everything. I think that they just sell some of their returns at the outlet, but what I like about this is it's a great substitute for an olive tree. So because it is so large, it can give off a similar effect that a tree does, so you don't have to pay for an entire faux tree. But what is very trendy right now, I talk about this in a lot of my videos, something that I see designers do all the time is just to use a ginormous branch from outside in their styling. This just helps to give off a very sculptural feel, a very natural feel, and just a very minimal organic vibe to a space. While that look is absolutely gorgeous with the live branches that I'm sure they just gather outside before their shoots, it's not very practical because obviously after a week or so it dies and then you're dealing with all of these shedding leaves. So I really do like that you can get that same exact look with this but have it permanently in your space. One thing I will say about this piece specifically is that you have to use a very large vase for it. So I had this really tall vase that I got at Hobby Lobby a while back, and once I found the right vessel, I love the look that this gives off. It gives off that really rustic feel, very gathered and organic, and the structure and movement of this branch is just a statement within itself, and I love the rustic feel that it gives to my space. All right, so for this next piece, I'm just gonna go ahead and state that it is my favorite out of the entire haul, and it is this stunning olive jar. Now, I was just perusing at HomeGoods, my usually daily scan. I'm just kidding, I only go there like once a week. I was just going through, you know, their little home decor section, and I spotted this in the back and I was like, wow, that actually looks like an antique piece. And you know me, I always love to look for pieces that even if they aren't actually antique, that they look old or rustic or have that like old world feel to them. So when scanning for vases and vessels, that's typically what I look for. But when I saw this, I was like, oh wow, that's like actually distressed and it looks to be naturally old. And I could be wrong about this, but I think that this is actually an antique piece that was sold at HomeGoods, which is very, very rare because here on the tag it says, this is an old world olive jar. This rare, authentic Mediterranean olive jar was collected from the Anatolian region of the Mediterranean Sea. Each one tells a story of its past and will vary in color, shape, and imperfection, making it truly a one-of-a-kind decorative piece for your home. And one of the absolute best parts was that this was only $30. My jaw was on the floor when I saw the price because I have seen something very, very similar on Pure Salt Interiors for over $100, and I see designers use these for styling pieces in their projects all the time. Because of that old world rustic feel that it adds, it just gives so much character to a space. It even has like little chips and imperfections on it, and I also love this gorgeous clay color of the bottom and how that contrasts with the blue rim, because blue and orange are actually complementary on the color wheel. And I know this is getting very technical, but I just personally love that color combo. Because I think that this is such a statement piece, I want to put it somewhere front and center in our home where I see it every day and it makes a big statement. So I'm going to put it on our kitchen island and then style it with some surprise olive stems to really kind of give that rustic Mediterranean exclamation point to everything. And then just to soften it up a bit, I'm going to add some little blueberry stems that I found at home, but I feel like they look very realistic and those are really cheap. So I will link those below as well if they're still available. But you all know that I also like to style in groups of 3. So especially when doing something like on an island or a coffee table, I like to group my decor pieces in a group of 3. So I'm going to add our little marble dessert display, which we use all the time with our weekly desserts. Mike usually bakes cookies, so I like having those out. And then also our little pitcher that we use to fill our dog's water bowl. So a very aesthetic yet very practical grouping, and I'm just so excited about this find. Definitely a big deal, and I will try to find some similar ones below, but again, and this was such a rare find that I had to snag it. Okay, so this next piece I don't physically have here with me because it is too big, but I will insert footage. And I have been looking for a piece like this for so long, and it is this gorgeous travertine like sofa console table. It is on the smaller side, which I love, and I feel like its size is actually what makes it so versatile. You could style this behind a sofa, you could use it in an entryway as a little drop place for keys and things like that. It would look great on an empty piece of wall in a bedroom. There's so many ways and places you could put it. I actually got it online at HomeGoods. I think it was like $130, and this is a fantastic dupe for the McGee & Co. travertine console. Granted, it is a much smaller scale, but it has the same bald iron feet on it with a really pretty travertine top. It definitely gives off that high-end designer look and looks a lot more expensive than it is, in my opinion. Where I think I'm going to style it right now is we just have this empty piece of hallway that's always bothered me with how bare it is, and I just wanted to put something there to add some visual interest, but we still needed it for traffic flow since it is a hallway, so I never wanted to put anything too big or bulky there, and I had a really hard time finding something that I loved until I came across this piece. Eventually I'm going to put some little wall pegs to hang things like purses and keys and then a photo above that, but I don't have those yet, but that is the plan. And I just love this piece. I love how rustic it looks. Again, as you can kind of tell, rustic is the theme of my home and usually these home decor hauls. I just love to source pieces that have like a modern designer feel, but they also have character, and each one of these is different. Travertine is just a very expensive designer material in general, and it gives off a very high-end look. So I love that this will add a little punch of contrast to our white hallway, give it a rustic feel, and just be a really great foundation for a cozy vignette with future decor pieces. All right, so for those of you who are new here, this year we did a little backyard makeover and put in a pea gravel patio in our backyard, and I kind of made that my little garden space. And this is my first year really getting into gardening, and I'm just really happy with how everything has grown and turned out. So I found this new love for gardening, and something that I thought was actually a really cute decor piece but kind of practical to go with my gardening is this little cute propagation station. And I actually found this one at Walmart, but I believe the same exact one is available on Amazon, and they also have it in a grouping of 5 on Amazon as well, which I thought was kind of nice if you have like a larger space, or maybe you want to put this somewhere like a mantle or a longer shelf. And I just think that this looks very aesthetic. I love the combination of the black and the glass and the wood. It just looks very simple and organic, and then especially when you add the greenery, I just think this gives off such like a fresh, cozy feel to a space and is a really sweet decor piece that is actually practical. So I just took some clippings of some lavender and rosemary from our backyard. I filled these up with water. I placed this somewhere where it got plenty of natural light, and then about a month later they started growing roots like crazy. So then from there you can take these and transport them into the ground or little jiffy pots or whatever. I always say that when decorating a space, you can never use too much greenery. It really just helps your space to feel lively and organic and like you're bringing the outdoors in, which in turn makes it feel just very calm and peaceful. So I love when I can incorporate that greenery in different ways in my spaces. You know, obviously the go-to ways are just using stems in a vase or putting up a faux tree. So I thought that this was kind of a fun and unique way to incorporate that into my styling. So I know I mentioned that we went up to Asheville to visit the outlets, and that's where I found that branch from West Elm. But when we were up there, I convinced Mike to stop by the Antique Tobacco Barn, which is one of my favorite antique spots. It's this really cute old barn. You can bring your dog through there, and I've just had some really good finds there. And I was seriously on my way out when I spotted this stunning vase. It is actually an old butter crock, I believe, and I saw it and I was like, okay, that's gonna be super expensive because it's a really large antique butter crock, and typically these go for like $100+, and I saw the price tag and it said $24. Like, I could not believe that I could get this gorgeous antique piece for something cheaper than I could get at HomeGoods. So obviously I snagged it up, and I just love anything that looks to be like old antique pottery. I think that it adds such a charm to your space, vase. And you guys know I talk about this all the time, but I love a wing detail. I feel like this is kind of hard to find if they're authentically a true antique piece. So yeah, love the coloring on this. And because it is a darker neutral, I'm going to use it in our entryway because our entryway is very light. We have light wood stairs, light walls, light wainscoting. So we have a long antique bench, and I'm just gonna pop it on there just to give a little bit of contrast to the space and add that rustic, warm character. And then I'm just gonna pop some stems that I found at another antique mall. I will link that antique video here just if you want to see a more in-depth antique shop and kind of my process when I go through stores. I love this. I feel like it was such a find, especially for the price, and I love the character that it's going to add to my front entryway area and just the warmth and texture that it's going to bring to my styling. All right, so the next piece is, surprise, another vase. You all know I have a vase problem, and I did post about this in my community page. I alerted you all that this was, I think, a find of the week is what I said, but I know I alerted you all that it was a new arrival at TJ Maxx. This was only $17, which is such a good deal considering that I've seen this on designer sites for like over 50 bucks, the same exact one. So what I really liked about this was its smaller size. I have a lot of larger statement vases, but I like to have things like this on hand for nightstands or for a smaller accent piece to pop on a shelf. It's also great if you want to use a smaller vase to accent a larger vase and just have that repetition. This is a really pretty smaller size. It's great to pop on a bathroom countertop, and I really just liked the finish on this. I loved how it had that, you know, antique charcoal look that so many of those designer clay pots have. I liked that this texture picked up on the distressing, and I thought it added a really nice amount of visual interest without being too overpowering. So what I'm going to do with this is just pop it on the countertop behind me and use some stems that I found at Hobby Lobby. I love them because they're season neutral, but they're also kind of great as we transition to fall decor. So speaking of fall decor, that kind of leads me into my next piece. Okay, so when I was at Michael's the other day, I saw that they had a lot of their new fall florals out. So of course I took a little peek, and there were some good finds. And what I like about Michael's is you have to look, but you really can source some very realistic looking faux florals for super cheap prices. So the first stem that I picked up was this really pretty white colored mum. Now I understand that this is not very fall-like. I just bought this because it was on sale and it was new, and I figured it would be great to use in my decor year round, probably except for Christmas, but you know, throughout the spring, summer, and fall. I thought that these looked very realistic, and when I look for stems, you all know that I like to find things that kind of look like they've just been plucked out of a field, very wild and gathered, just to give off that rustic vibe. These were only like $3 a stem, and I felt like they looked very realistic. And I like to use neutral floral stems like this and just mix them in with greenery that I already have. You don't have to buy a whole bouquet of them, just, you know, 2 or 3 stems, just to give your styling a little bit of a softer edge for the spring and summer season. This is also a great base flower to mix in other seasonal stems with. So for example, for fall, I'm going to mix in some more fall like burgundy colors and warmer tones. You could also use this throughout the summer and mix this with like more pinky or peachy tones, and it's just a great one to have on hand. So I bought 3 of these. They're very versatile, and I really like the price on them. So I found these stunning kind of like mauve-y fall looking florals, and I don't know if you can tell, but I think that the coloring on these looks to be very realistic. These were $12.99, but they were on sale for 40% off, so they were like 7 something per stem. So I did buy 3 of them because I figured that I could again mix them in with some base greenery and some other florals to make a really pretty arrangement. But you could just totally buy a bunch of these and have these in a vase, and I think that that would be a really pretty look for fall. I think they did a really good job with this stem and how it actually has that look where it's kind of, you know, dying and going through that color change where it's transitioning into winter. So it feels like you just plucked it right out of the yard. So very fall-like feel. And what I like about it is it's still a muted color. So it doesn't look too fakey. It looks very lifelike, and it also goes well with lots of other colors. I actually bought some burgundy stems to go with this, and I will show you those next. So these are the thistles, and I thought that they had a very realistic kind of burgundy tone to them, and I think that these are going to look absolutely gorgeous kind of mixed in with the mauve floral stems. They're a great accent color. These are great to have for winter as well. You could mix these in with some evergreens, and I find that these are a very versatile season neutral stem as well because you can really truly use them in fall, winter, spring, and summer. I like that the thistles kind of give off that, again, wildflower rustic feel, very gathered, like they were just like picked from the roadside or a field somewhere. I actually had these a while back and I only bought 3 of them, so I was kind of bummed that I didn't buy more. And this is the first time that I've seen them back in stock since I bought them several years ago, so I bought 3 more, and I just figured they'd be a really pretty accent piece to mix in with my floral arrangements. And then lastly, these are not new to my household, but they are something that is a restock, and I got so many questions on them when I first posted about them. They were used in my DIY distressed vessel video way far back, and everyone was like, where did you get those ferns? Where did you get those ferns? And these are the ferns that I found at Michael's back during the fall season, I think 2 years ago, and I did not see them last year. I checked for them because so many of you were asking about them, but I don't think that they brought them back last year. But this year they brought them back, and they are so affordable. I'm gonna use 3 of them, so you don't need a ton if you have a smaller sized vase. I think if you have a larger vase, I'd get like maybe 5 to 6 of them for, you know, a very full arrangement. But these are such a good deal, and they're one of my favorite filler greenery pieces that you can use again year round. They have that kind of muted olive coloring to them, so again, they give off that rustic feel, which I really try to go for in my spaces. And I just think that these are a great value and something that looks very high-end and designer for a great price. All right, everyone, that about wraps up this video. I hope that you enjoyed this little home decor haul and styling session. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up because it really does help to support the channel. And again, if you want to be in the know with all of the new arrivals and deal alerts, be sure that you're subscribed because I do post those over in my community page pretty much weekly, sometimes twice a week or 3 times a week, just depends. But yeah, I just want to thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope that you have a fabulous week, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!